Thank you. Get that good beat down. Okay, man. Going up. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early dawn how so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we marched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red flare was bursting in air, it proved through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of God. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks so much. James?
You bow with prayer today. Father, we come to you with thanks for all the blessings you give us every day, for the goodness you have, for your grace, your kindness, Father, for your protection you have on our lives, our families' lives, for your covering of our nation, this world, our local officials, our national officials, world leaders. We ask you, God, to continue to bless them, continue to use them in ways that would glorify your name. We're thankful for the opportunity this club has to serve others. God, let us always remember your son was the ultimate one that served us. We ask you, God, now to bless the food we've eaten today. Bless it to our bodies and us to your service. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Mr. Duffy?
Thank you, President Sheila. That's Terry, and I'm listening to my dad. I don't think this has happened before. On birthdays, we have absolutely no birthdays to announce. We got down to one or two, but none today. But anniversaries is a different story. Ed and Olivia McDaniel on August the 9th, along with Walter Hill and Melanie, and Archie Solomon and Tracy on August the 11th. God bless Tracy. Jason Rudd and Amanda on August the 15th. Hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you.
Mary Beth, would you come to introduction of our guests and visiting Rotarians?
Hello, everybody. We are always happy to welcome our guests and our visiting Rotarians. And today with us, all the way from Marianna, Florida, we have Art Kimbrough. And that's the only one I saw. Did we miss anybody? All right. Well, Art, we are tickled to have you with us today, and thank you for being here.
And Jeannie, are you ready for the Campasco? All right, the last four, 4684. 4684. 1,275 points. Davis has that too.
George,
He didn't buy him, his dad did.
Not close.
next time.
Next time.
Next time.
David Hanks needs to make an announcement to us.
Thank you, President Sheila. I just want to remind everybody on the 24th, the annual Bama Day Scholarship Fundraiser is coming up. It'll be out at Windmill Station. That's Tuesday evening. Admission is $150 for two, and that gets you one opportunity to draw for the grand prize, which is 4 tickets to all the home games and $3,000 in travel expense. So that's coming up on the 24th. And believe it or not, this little chapter down here in Southeast Alabama has more scholarships than any other chapter throughout the nation. So you guys that have participated over the years, thank you so much for that support. But it's coming up on the 24th, Windmill Station. If you need tickets, let me know. Or you can go online to Houston Henry County Alumni Association and you can order them online. Thank you, President Sheila.
Thank you, David. And I sent out an email blast a little bit earlier today that our Campasca Day, the Rotary Campasca Day was canceled. We had canceled because of COVID, so we hate that, but we understand and support them. And they had sent an email that said how much they appreciated everything that we do for them at Campasca. So our trip is canceled, but we'll wish for the best for next year. All right, Davis, would you come up? You wanted to make an announcement about Love Dothan.
So the next Love Dothan project is going to be Saturday, August 21st from 8 until noon. And we're going to be working in the Chapelwood and Green Acres neighborhood. This is going to be the 5th project with Love Dothan, and there's been a lot of momentum on the last 4, so they're hoping to keep that going and help beautify Dothan 1 yard at a time. So the plan is to meet at the Pathway Baptist Church that Saturday morning around 7:45. Church will let us park there. There'll be transportation provided from there into the neighborhood, and we're looking to get there about 7:45 so we can get our assignments and get to work in there. If you know of anyone in these areas that can use assistance, you can reach out to myself, I guess Sheila as well, to this could be anything from lawn mowing, string trimming, edge trimming, cutting up some trees. And they said that during the last project, they were able to haul off close to 46 tons of debris. If you can help out, let me know. I'm here to answer any questions, and we look forward to seeing y'all then.
Thank you, Davis. Brandon?
I just wanted to take some time to remind everybody that this month is membership month for Rotary. So August is when we should be really aware of membership and trying to bring people in that we want to see in our club. And so kind of the email that President Sheila sent out, I want y'all to think about if tomorrow you couldn't come to Rotary anymore, who would you want to take your place? Who in your organization, who do you know down the street would be great to serve in this organization? As time goes on, obviously we want to continue to bring good people into this organization and continue the mission. And that can be in the Outlaw Club, that can be in this club, but ultimately we want people that are going to serve. And so we want y'all to start thinking about that. We're going to have some stuff coming up that we're going to put out for the end of the month, and it's going to be tied to some goals and things of that nature that the board's working on. But anyway, so just think about that. Think about if you weren't here, who would you want to carry on your legacy? A lot of you have done a lot of great things over the years. And so who's going to do it after you? Thank y'all.
Thanks, Brandon. James, you had a presentation about the YouTube channel.
The reason we want to keep on telling you about this, we need to have 100 people subscribe. Doesn't have to just be members to our YouTube, but anybody in the community, your family, your friends, the good thing about once we do this is, first of all, we want to let the community know what we do, know about our club meetings. It's a way, we're recording now with Zoom. And that way, if you miss a meeting or you miss something, oh, I wish I had listened a little bit closer to that speaker, you can go back and view it. Our first one we recorded, it's already had 60-something views, and we just had it for a couple of weeks now. So if you would go to that and do that and subscribe, I'm going to give you just a short little presentation that we have our own YouTube channel, and recently at 100, YouTube has a requirement to have 100 members before you can get your short name. If you look at it now, when you do that link that we sent to you, it's all kind of hieroglyphics if you look at it now. But when we get 100 members, we can apply for a short name, some additional cost, say something like the Dothan Rotary Club. And that's what we want to get to, so make it easier for people to remember about and also the link to it also. Real quick, I'd like to tell you how you get to it begin with. I prefer Google, but any internet browser you use, all you have to do is, if you're close enough to see that, is type in YouTube, get to it, click on youtube.com. And once you do that, you'll get a screen that looks like some of this. If you look at the red arrows, kind of give you, and there's a search at the very beginning of YouTube. You just type in Dothan Rotary Club. I did do that right. And then hit search. And when you do, you should see this come up on your screen. And it will be our YouTube channel. And off to the right there, you see, I see that arrow there says subscribe. All you can do is click on that. You now have subscribed on your computer to YouTube. If you're a Google person and a Gmail person and logged in with that, it will actually tie that to your Gmail account and also everything else. YouTube is owned by Google. So if you click on that, I'm not going to go to the next, you'll go into our screen. It's going to look like something like this. And it has our notes, our symbol, our logo, plus the current year's motto and theme. Over to the left, the first one you'll see that I'm pointing to is the videos, and this will be the uplinks of our meetings we've had. We've had 2 now already on there. And we only have 33 subscribers, so we need 67 more. So pass this on to your family. Your wives can do this, your children, whoever. It's going to always be age appropriate. We're not going to put anything that's not. And then you can go to the meeting, click on the meeting, and if your videographer does everything right, it should be there. Right now, I guess I'm him. But anyhow, click on the meeting, you'll listen to it, say it again. I'm going to skip over because pretty much, actually that was the home button I said that was where those meetings are located. Skip over videos, it's going to be pretty much our meetings, it's going to be uploaded videos. In the playlist, I've created some playlist things that has to do with the community. I've downloaded a lot of clips that has to do with Dothan, being a festival, and also do with Dothan Rotary. And I've listed those on a playlist. You go back and see news clips that was done about Rotary, about Love Dothan, and of interest. If you have some idea that you'd like to see, all you got to do is let me know. I can create more playlists, and if anything's to do with community, we'll try to keep it segmented where you can go to that particular interest point. All right. Next thing, I'm going to add additional channels as we found it appropriate for. This is a list of channels that other people's YouTube channels go to. This is the one for Rotary International. It's listed there. If you'd like to see something of meetings of Rotary International, we go to that channel. And they've got hundreds and hundreds of videos to do with Rotary. So if we find somebody else has one that's of interest, we'll add that channel to it too. Next, the last thing was, this is about, if you can't remember or you tell somebody who wants to know about the club, a brief summary about the Dothan Rotary Club, where we meet, what time we meet. And this is an interest way we can probably help steer people to about Rotary in case they're interested in becoming a member. This is just a tool. The best way to get someone is bring someone and ask someone. So if you have any questions, real quick, like, there's my contact. Y'all probably already know how to get a hold of me already, but if you don't, that's my cell phone number. Yes, Greg.
We're up to 37.
Oh, while I was speaking.
Why are you?
Well, okay, great. But I did this yesterday, so I think, and I did it sometime. But anyhow, that's great. So keep those subscriptions coming and we'll get to that 100 just a short name. My cell number's listed there. There's my email address. And you know somebody in here, I know me, if you forget these numbers, I can be reached. So I'd like to have you be part of this. I think it's a good, another tool. We should use all the tools we can to promote Rotary and what we do in serving others. Thank you, President Sheila.
James,
Yes, sir.
if you go back and pull up one of the meetings, can you count that as a?
Yes, sir. And now, one thing you can't do, YouTube keeps privacy on this, so you can't, they know everything about the club, but we can't tell who's. So on an honor system, we talked about and discussed more, it was discussed back and forth with several of us, that it's on honor system. You fail to miss a meeting, let Heather know, or let President Sheila know, or who's at that time, that, hey, I went back and viewed the meeting, and I think it'd be very, because there's all kind of ways you can be part of a meeting. You remember, you can go do seminars and see things for other people's meetings we've allowed it in the past. We just need to let us know, and I would think that would be appropriate to Heather know so she can log you in for that day. That would be great. Any other questions? Ben?
Is John Gorley's meeting on that?
Yes, last week. Now, the only thing your videographer forgot to unmute the first 2 minutes, but not him, but the starting of the national anthem and also that Josh was at my table today to remind me. So, any other questions before I turn this back over to President Sheila? Thank you so much, and let's go YouTube.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, James. Yeah, it's on. I think so. So we can do honorary with that because the first question in our 4-way test is it the truth? So we felt like we would just be in great shape. All right, I would like to ask for Nathan Wallace and Mr. Paul Angeloff to come up front, please.
Short distance, I can do it without.
All right. So I have something to give you both. Thank you. And if you would just stay with me a minute, it's a multiple Paul Harris Fellow that they're both receiving today. And you know that it is a way that we honor our Rotary Foundation supporters. It's a proud tradition that we use to honor the past president, the past international president, Paul Harris. And to be honored as Paul Harris Fellow, someone must contribute at least $1,000 to our foundation's annual fund, Polio Plus or Improved Foundation Grant. And these contributions are used to honor others. So it's a tremendous accomplishment, and they both are receiving +1s today. And I just love to remind everyone that a lot of good comes from these gifts. Wells are constructed, children are vaccinated, senior citizens are provided meals and services, children and adults are educated and given professional opportunities that they would not otherwise have because of what Rotary does. And this is vital to children and their families and communities because only when their basic needs are met can they even think about pursuing other areas of life and contributing in other ways. So I'm very pleased to recognize these two men as Paul Harris Fellows +1. I thank them for what they've done. It's a great honor, and let's please give them a standing ovation and show our ready for you to present. Yes,
Please,
sir.
thank you, President Sheila.
I'd like for you to go back in time, we'd be about 70 years. Texas, 1948, Selection Day. As ballot boxes are turned in and votes are counted, it appears Lyndon Johnson has again lost the Democratic primary for Senate. This time by 115 votes to former Governor of the Coast Stevens. Well, the following day, John Conley, a Johnson associate, would visit Duval County, where he mysteriously found a missing ballot box, box 13. Duval County was controlled by a Democratic boss named George Parr. Well, inside box 13 were 202 votes. Every single vote was for Lyndon Johnson. It would give Johnson the win by 87 votes. There was some question of the legality of these votes as they were cast all in alphabetical order with the same signature handwriting, same color ink. Some of those registered were deceased or had been out of town on election day. Sheriff Deputy Sam Smithwick would make a special trip to deliver the lost box 6 days later. Lyndon Johnson was confirmed as the primary winner. Box 13 records would disappear before a thorough investigation could be conducted. Well, today, 70 years later, we have hanging chads with suspicion of foreign governments tampering with our election process. We do want to be secure in knowing that our votes are counted. Our program today will start off with election security. We'll cover some other topics relevant to the state of Alabama. Presenting our program today will be Wes Allen. Wes is originally from Tuscaloosa, graduated from the University of Alabama in 1998. Wes was a member of the Crimson Tide football team under coaches Gene Stallings and Mike Boots. And I believe as a wide receiver, your position coach was Dalvin Sweeney. After graduation from Alabama, Wes was co-director of athletics at Troy University. Wes received his graduate degree from Troy in 2001. In 2009, Wes was appointed probate judge in Pike County and was reelected to that position. Currently, Wes is serving in the House of Representatives for Pike and Dale County. Wes and his wife Kay reside in Troy with their 2 children in Davis, Indiana. Today, Wes brings his background and experience as a probate judge, while he was probate judge, he was elected by his peers as the president of the Probate Judge Association. While as a probate judge, he oversaw 18 elections with no errors. He brings this in preparation as a candidate for Secretary of State, which handles a lot of the same responsibilities to enlightens the importance of the election process and some other relevant topics. Thank you, Wes Allen.
Thank you, Alan. It's good to be with everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to visit with you. Sheila, thank you. My mom's name is Sheila, so you got that in common. So thank you. I'm sure yours is just as sweet as Sheila. Appreciate that introduction. I'm not going to keep us long. I'll leave the opportunity to ask some questions if anybody has any questions at the end of my remarks. But it's good to be in the Wiregrass. It's good to live in the Wiregrass. It's good to be here with my friend Paul Lee, state representative that represents Dothan. Let me just say this about Paul and being able to serve alongside him in the State House. He's a mentor of mine. He was elected in 2010 and been a stalwart conservative and a conservative warrior for this section of the state in his district. And there's nobody that I would rather serve alongside than Paul Lee. So give Paul Lee a hand. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Paul's the guy that I can go and talk to about certain issues that affect our area, because I know that he is plugged in to the needs and to the values and principles that we all hold in this section of the state. And let me just say, not only about Paul, but our entire delegation that represents the Wiregrass area of our state. There is no better delegation in the state of Alabama, and I think Paul would agree with that. Who we got in Montgomery on the House side and on the Senate side, representing the interest of this area of the state, and I'm proud to call the Wiregrass my home. I was appointed by Governor Riley as probate judge in April of 2009. I was 33 years old and assumed that position, and was able to get in and to work very hard, but I had a very good staff. And we were able to do a lot of really good things, neat things during my almost 10 years there on the bench in Pike County. In 2012, I was elected to my own term as probate judge. But one of the things you get to do as probate judge, you get to help people. And much like this club here, it's the 4-point test. And I was a member of our Troy Rotary Club. I took some time off from that, given my schedule. But wouldn't it be nice if our world operated according to those 4 points? I mean, it would be really, really refreshing if we all and everybody conduct themselves to is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build better friendships? And goodwill and better friendships will be beneficial to all concerned. And so it's about helping people, and it's about relationships. And I don't have to tell you that. Y'all know that. But one of the things that I was responsible for as probate judge was making sure our elections ran smooth. And if we don't get elections right, a lot of other things are going to go wrong. And we've got to make sure that we maintain our strong election system in the state of Alabama. Alabama does it right. The rest of the nation can take a note and can take notes on how well we conduct our elections. For instance, it is only common sense that we have photo voter identification, right? I think we all can agree that when you walk up, it's common sense to present your driver's license or your passport or some sort of photo identification to protect our elections. And so over my 18 different election cycles that we were able to administer, we got to work alongside a lot of those local elected officials like the circuit clerk and the sheriff and the board of registrars. I have been there at 5:30 in the morning on election day to open up the courthouse. So I know what it's like. So when you open up that courthouse that early in the morning, you get going. We've been there to train and to appoint the poll workers. We've been there to travel to all the precincts on election day. We've worked on machines. We have approved the ballots and printed those ballots, and we've done everything in between. So he mentioned that I was a candidate for Secretary of State. If I'm fortunate enough to be elected, there won't need to be any on-the-job training. We will know what to do as it pertains to elections and the election process. And that is bringing a local perspective, because I've lived it, and to work with your fine circuit clerk, Carl Woodall, and your fine probate judge, Patrick Davenport, and your sheriff, and all those down here that execute the election law. So I will bring a local perspective to election security. One thing I do want to touch on is what we were able to do this past session in the legislature, and with Representative Lee's help. We were able to pass the ban on curbside voting. I was the chief sponsor on that legislation, but had tremendous help from Representative Lee and others to get that pushed across the finish line. It met some significant pushback, as you can imagine, from the other side of the aisle. But we were able to get that passed. Governor Ivey signed that into law back in May, because it is important to maintain the chain of custody on our ballots. It is important that you have a secret ballot. Let's assume that this is a precinct and someone pulls up and vote curbside. The ballot goes out the door. They vote the ballot, but the secret ballot is gone. The secret ballot is no more. There is no more secret ballot if that takes place. So maintaining the secret ballot and maintaining the chain of custody for our elections and our ballots is of utmost importance. As you saw around the country back in November of 2020, you saw some chaos and confusion. We recognized there were things going on around the country as far as our elections pertain that did not look good. And so we need to make sure that we maintain our strong elections, maintain the security of our ballots, and not have any of that chaos and confusion go around the state of Alabama. One of the things that sometimes it's very positive to pass bills and to strengthen the election security, but it's also a win when you defeat bad legislation. We were able to do that as well. One of those is no excuse absentee voting, which could open the door to the chaos and confusion that you've seen around the country back in November of 2020. So we were able to defeat that bad piece of legislation and maintain strong election integrity. Another thing we're very proud of in our legislative process is our business-friendly environment that we've been able to pass several pieces of legislation this past session. One of those was making sure that frivolous lawsuits could not be filed in the wake of COVID, and to make sure that any of y'all business owners out here recognize the challenges that COVID has presented us over the past year and a half. The other thing was the Jobs Act, which kept our incentives going for the state of Alabama to attract outside businesses to the state of Alabama. I know many of y'all kept up with that. One way to know how business-friendly Alabama is by taking a look at our budgets. Back in 2010, when Paul Lee was first elected, and I was elected in 2018, but Paul was elected in 2010, they did some very heavy lifting as it pertained to our budgets and putting good protections in place to make sure we did not get out over our skis too far as in budgeting process. And when you got two great budgets as we passed this year, the largest ever in the general fund, the largest ever for our education trust fund, it means that people are working. It means the tax revenue is coming into the state. One of the things that they did back in 2011 was put the Rolling Reserve Act into place. And I think that's one of the most key pieces of legislation to make sure we did not have proration in education. Before 2010, I think the state of Alabama averaged proration about every year and a half. Now we have not had proration since 2011, right, Paul? Yeah. So what those guys did as conservative legislators, as Republican legislators, what they did to put in place strong business legislation to protect our budgets and to protect the state of Alabama. As you well know, one of the great things about living in our area of the state is that agriculture and forestry is vitally important to our economy. I represent an area, District 89, where farming, ag, and forestry is vitally important to our economy. I know it is here in Dothan as well, and in Houston County. One of the things we're very proud of as well we got passed was a bill that lifted the F4 farm tag limit for the farmers out there. Some of y'all may know some of those guys that are working hard right now getting things harvested, but the F4 farm tag, there was a limit of 4 that they could buy. We wanted to lift that and make it easier on them to conduct business because they are a small business. We wanted to make sure it was easier on them. It took away some of the red tape and paperwork that it took to go register those vehicles in the probate office or those license offices around the state. Another thing that it did was create a new restricted tag for our log trucks that haul across the state line to Georgia or Alabama or to Florida from Alabama. It puts us on a level playing field. We want to make sure that those guys that are in the woods day in and day out and the things that they face is easier for their business and their small business. So we're very proud of that piece of legislation. It doesn't get any headlines, but those kind of pieces of legislation directly impact the small business in our area of the state if they're tied to ag and industry and ag and forestry. Let's talk a minute about the economic recovery. You were a lot closer and you've seen it over the last year about what COVID has done to our economy and how we've come back from that. I was at a tire store last Monday getting my tires rotated. I was talking to the owner, and I know him very well, been knowing him for a while. And he was talking about the issue he was having of getting people to come back to work. And I discussed that earlier with Representative Lee and Mr. Watson and how difficult that's been for him. And so it is impacting people. And what we need to be doing in this state, in my opinion, and I want to thank Governor Ivey for what she did about the unemployment earlier in June, is that we need to be fostering an environment that encourages work ethic. Instead of staying at home and just collecting the unemployment benefits, we need to be doing things that can encourage work ethic. And y'all know that. And I know I'm preaching to the choir on that because y'all see it day in and day out. Because we can't compete against the federal government. Small business can when they're driving the wages up and driving the inflation up as well. Those are some things that hurt our businesses. And it's something that we see in Montgomery. We're taking that seriously, and there are going to be some things that I'm sure that we'll address in the upcoming session. I'll be glad to be able to take some questions. I do want to say that before I close and take questions, and I'm not going to keep you long, but address the critical race theory that we've heard a little bit about and a lot about. I will feel that will be dealt with in January. I know the school board will be dealing with that in a resolution probably coming up in its August meeting. If I had to guess, there are 3 bills currently pre-filed that deal with the critical race issue, the ideology. So the best bill, in my opinion, is Ed Oliver. Representative Ed Oliver has filed HB 9. If y'all want to go read that and check that out, we will, I'm sure, be taking that up and addressing that situation, because we do not need to be teaching in our schools or in state agencies what critical race theory espouses, and that is to try to divide us. And now more than ever, we need to be coming together as people and not dividing us and separating us into different classes. Because I think we're all made in the image of God, and we're all God's children. And we need to, in my opinion, be working towards ways to bring us together. And I think that ideology separates us. So we'll be addressing that. With that, I'll be glad to open it up for questions. I hope I didn't go too long or too short, but I want to leave some time for questions, if that's okay. Okay. Nobody's going to complain about getting out early, right? Yeah. You know, I recently spoke to the Brundage Rotary Club, and then I'll speak to the Troy Rotary Club at the end of this month. And I just appreciate the opportunity to be here. To visit with you. You do so much for your communities. A lot of people have asked me, what do we need to be doing, especially after the November election? One of the most important things we can be doing, in my opinion, is to elect local leaders that are strong conservatives, and because they have direct impact on our daily lives. With all the nonsense we see coming out of Washington, D.C., and some of the things and proposals that we see coming out of D.C. that will affect small business, that will affect our culture, that will affect different things. Electing strong conservatives at the local level, your school board, your superintendents, your city commissions, your county commission chairs, those things, those people that impact you, make sure they're strong conservatives. To stand strong about what's coming out of DC. So that's one thing we can really do is electing people at the local level that you know, and that can stand strong for the values and principles that we espouse. Any questions? Yes, sir.
When the new census numbers are released, do you see what possibility of changes in the way the districts are laid out now?
Well, I think I saw a headline that said we should be getting the initial numbers this week. I think that's correct. And so we'll take that up. I've heard October when we'll go in for reapportionment to redraw our congressional lines. The good thing is Alabama grew, so we kept all 7 congressional districts, which is tremendous. And I know that everybody worked hard in this area of the state to make sure we got our numbers in to keep the 2nd congressional district. So that's very important. As far as everything changing, I know there's been a lot of growth in Huntsville and Madison County and Limestone County and North Alabama. So I don't know how many seats they may gain or what, or how many, or what areas of the state may lose seats. I guess when we get those numbers in and when that committee meets, I know the census committee will be going around the state taking public input on the district lines starting shortly, I think this fall. So I would encourage y'all to find the time when they come to Dothan, to Houston County to have input in your district lines. But as far as being specific, I don't know about the specificity. So.
What's happening to the gambling bills and the casino bills that we never get the opportunity to vote on? We elect people all the time, and oh yeah, you're gonna get the vote, you're gonna get the vote. That's been going on for 12 years and we ain't voted yet.
Paul? I'm sorry.
It's out of Paul's hand, it's higher up.
No, I'm kidding. I'll be glad to answer that question. Well, as you know, there was a, what they call a comprehensive package that was introduced in the state legislature. The Senate passed it, got down to the House, and I was not privy to all the conversations that, as far as leadership goes, as to how that bill got developed and whatnot, but it was just this, I think it just collapsed under the sheer weight of, everybody wanting their hands in the pot of all the gambling revenue. It was a hotly debated, hotly contested bill in the House. For instance, I'll give you one for instance. For instance, some of the proceeds that were going to be generated from the gambling revenue was going to go to these students for scholarships, as some of y'all may know, but they were Pell Grant students only. So let's just take, for instance, that you got a husband and wife and they're working hard to earn a living, scratching and clawing every day. They've got a couple of kids, they want to put those kids through college, but they earn just enough to put them outside of being Pell Grant eligible for their children. But those children were not going to be eligible to receive any of those proceeds. And I just didn't think, me personally, that was very fair at all to the working people of Alabama. It was going to set up lots of areas around the state for gambling, and going to bring in a lot of interest that I don't know shared our values and our principles. The things that we hold dear from out of state, and a lot of special interest. If we were to allow gambling to get a foothold in Alabama, you hear a lot about the clean lottery. I don't know if we'll ever see a clean lottery. There's a lot of interest out there that want them to go to a casino and not play a clean lot, not play the lottery. So you got a lot of interest factions fighting each other, gambling interests. As it pertains to bringing gambling to the state of Alabama. That's a very complex question. I don't know if I answered it all, but it's a very complex issue. I'm sorry.
Benjamin Franklin said, gambling is a tax on fools. I always pay my taxes.
Right.
Who's the leading candidate for Speaker of the House?
The leading candidate, I don't know about the leading candidate. There's two candidates that I know of. One is Nathaniel Ledbetter from North Alabama, and the other is Steve Klaus, which is my neighbor right up in Ozark, and fine man and a mentor of mine as well, one I've been knowing for a very long time. But those are the only two that I know of that have thrown their hat into the speaker's race. Long time away from electing a speaker. Of course, I won't take part in that election, but because I'm not running for election to the House. Those are the two.
Did you ever see Dabo as being a head coach?
Yes, he was intense.
Was
He was intense. Now he graduated in '92. I graduated in '98. He started under Coach Stallings. He coached hard and he was intense. And he had a drive in that we recognized. All the guys in that team room, in that positions room, we recognized early on that Dabo was a leader and that he was going to go far, one day, and that's not surprising at all. I mean, he always was a very positive outlook. I didn't like being on the other end of things, he didn't do right sometimes, but he knew how to get it out of his players. He certainly did.
The athletic world lost a great leader.
Yeah, we did. Bobby Bowden, we sure did. I was telling Representative Lee and Mr. Watson earlier that Coach Bowden, if you remember, brought he and his sons to Troy back years ago, late '90s, early 2000s, to put on a football camp back years ago. And I looked at that picture. Yes, I got a picture with it and I couldn't find it. And
I was there.
Yeah, you talk about a man that made an impact on boys when they came into his program and helped transform them into men. By the time they graduated, he had a tremendous impact. And college football, college athletics lost a titan, really. Sure did. Anybody else? Thank y'all so much.
And we had a visitor. We thank you for being here today. Look forward to maybe coming back again. And so let's now stand and do our four-way test of the things that we think, say, or do.
Is the truth, is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thanks for being here.